Like, you don't give up. You giving up? I could just see, they had to say it. I could see it in their eyes. I was like, dang it, man.
Roy Jones Jr. endured things that would have finished most men. The Olympic injustice. $40 million vanished. His recollection fading with each blow. But nothing readied him for this. At 57 years old, existence handed him a judgment he could not battle, and a farewell he never anticipated. This is where the account of the finest boxer alive finally concludes. The toll of everything. Roy Jones Jr. was condemned at 5 years old to a confinement he did not select. He was condemned at 19 by officials in Seoul, who had already determined the result before the last bell sounded. He was condemned by a weight reduction that took the most precious thing an athlete can possess, the physique at its ultimate prime. And he was condemned by sorrow in June 2024 in a manner that no championship belt, no Hall of Fame induction, no gold medal return 4 decades too late could ever fully address. Repeatedly, sentenced by circumstances beyond his control. This is that account. Every part of it. And it begins where most narratives about Roy Jones Jr. never dare to start. Not with the brilliance, not with the trophies, not with the peak that rendered him untouchable for 10 years. It begins with the decline. Because the decline is where you discover what something is truly composed of. After the stoppage that altered everything, a single left hook 51 seconds into round 2 against Antonio Tarver on May 15, 2004. The defeats arrived at a rhythm nobody had ever linked with this competitor. September 25, 2004, a 9th-round stoppage loss to Glenn Johnson in an IBF championship bout. 2005, a unanimous verdict loss to Tarver in their 3rd meeting. 2008, a loss to Joe Calzaghe. December 2009, a first-round stoppage loss to Dan Green. April 2010, a one-sided unanimous verdict loss to Bernard Hopkins, a man he had outpointed with a broken hand 17 years earlier, now returning the favor with patient, stifling accuracy. May 2011, a 10th-round stoppage at the hands of Denis Lebedev. The tally that had been 49-1 was becoming something those who cherished him most did not wish to examine directly. And Roy Jones Jr. kept moving forward, not for reputation, partly for money, though the monetary troubles had worsened considerably. An IRS obligation of roughly $3 million, a Chapter 11 bankruptcy submission in 2014, properties sold off, a net worth that had once been approximated at $45 million, diminishing toward what current estimates place at approximately $7 million. But deeper than the finances, it was the competitor within him. Something ingrained so early, and so profoundly, that no quantity of knockdowns could fully access it. And beneath all of it, Roy Jones Jr. had been holding a caution since he was 17 years old. Since the day he entered a gym and met a former world-class contender named Jimmy Young and observed what decades of being struck in the head had done to a man who used to be one of the most dangerous fighters alive. Jimmy Young could barely articulate. And what he told the teenager standing before him was the type of thing that when it originates from the right person at the right moment etches itself into you permanently. Every blow you receive to your head matters. Whether you are in practice or whether you are in an actual bout, they believe practice does not matter. Yes, it does. That is where most of those individuals get damaged at. Roy Jones Jr. understood precisely what those words signified in a manner most people never could. His father had made him train 25 rounds a night minimum. Not pad work, full intensity movement, and sparring every evening, beginning from the age of 5 or 6. Before he ever competed for a world championship, he had already absorbed more cumulative head trauma than most fighters take in entire careers. By 2011, that accumulation had become impossible to disregard. He traveled to Pittsburgh for experimental chiropractic therapy aimed at addressing balance issues he attributed to 21 years of career damage. He has stated publicly that he believes his memory was impaired by his boxing career. He has turned the warning Jimmy Young gave him into advocacy, carrying that message to gyms, to young fighters, to anyone who will listen through the defeats, the financial collapse, the health concerns, the ongoing public conflict with Floyd Mayweather Jr. that played out in heated social media exchanges and open challenges through 2024 and 2025. Roy Jones Jr. remained upright, battered, complicated, fully human, but upright. And then in June 2024, something occurred that no amount of boxing preparation, no amount of mental fortitude, no amount of daredevil indifference to pain could have readied a man for. On Saturday, June 22, 2024, Roy Jones Jr.'s son, DeAndre, passed away by suicide. He was 32 years old. 2 days later, Roy Jones Jr. posted the most candid statement of his public life. Unfortunately, my son DeAndre took his life on Saturday. I am so thankful that God allowed me to return home Friday night to spend the last night of his life with me and the family. I know many people are going through difficult moments right now, but nothing is worth ending your own life. God gives it, and God should be the one to take it away. Thank you for the love and support.
He was my oldest boy, actually. He was my firstborn, and it was like a loss of best.
In one of the first occasions, he addressed the loss at length. He described what the night before had actually resembled. He had been traveling for 3 weeks. He was supposed to come home Saturday. On Thursday, something instructed him off to go home early. He did not know why. He departed, and at 3 in the morning a knock arrived at the door.
But to lose a person like that is a very, very hard thing to do.
They conversed for 2 hours that night. Roy, his wife Madeline, and DeAndre working through whatever burden had brought him to the door in the darkness. Roy Jones Jr. has stated that somewhere in those 2 hours, he held his son in a manner that felt like a farewell he refused to name aloud. He told him to remain the night. DeAndre did. And when morning arrived, he was gone. The call came at 10. Roy and his wife drove down I-10. When he saw the police car in his son's truck, he already knew because DeAndre, as he described it, was the type of man who meant what he said, just like his father. In his sorrow, Roy Jones Jr. did something that the deepest parts of his upbringing had never taught him to do. He requested assistance, not for himself, but for anyone else standing in the same position his son had stood. He connected the tragedy to the generational wounds he had inherited from his own father, and acknowledged without blame or performance that cycles of unspoken pain have a way of moving through families unless someone is courageous enough to interrupt them. And here is where the narrative refuses to conclude. Because at 57 years old, Roy Jones Jr. is not finished. He has opened a new boxing gym in Dallas, Texas, hosting a training camp open to kids and adults alike. He joined the corner of super middleweight contender Ian Green, who said that having a trainer who knows what it feels like to be exhausted in a fight, not just someone who observes, changes everything. He is confirmed for the Box Fan Expo in Las Vegas in May 2026. Still present, still constructing, still here. And then, there is the moment that might make you believe justice, even when it arrives decades late, still arrives.
He got something for you. It's the 88 Olympics.
88년도.
He won the gold at the time. He had the gold, but he wants to give back.
Park Si-hun, the South Korean fighter who left Seoul in 1988 with a gold medal he privately knew was not his, had spent nearly 4 decades carrying the weight of that verdict. He never turned professional. He became a high school physical education teacher. He struggled for years under the shadow of a victory that felt like a condemnation, until one day, he decided the only thing left to do was find Roy Jones Jr. and return it. He wants to return to you that it belongs to you. Through a translator, Park said simply, "I had the gold medal, but I wanted to return it to you. It belongs to you. This gold medal is your problem now." Wow. Wow. 2 letters, 1 word, 37 years. But to understand what that gold medal truly signifies, what it actually required to hold the weight of having it taken, and still become who he became, you have to go back to the night it was taken. You have to go back to Seoul, the robbery, and the ascent. October the 2nd, 1988. Jamsil Students Gymnasium, Seoul, South Korea. The light middleweight gold medal bout at the Summer Olympics. On one side, Park Si-hun, a 23-year-old South Korean fighter, competing in front of his own country, in a moment the entire host nation had constructed toward. On the other side, Roy Jones Jr., 19 years old, having already dismantled 4 opponents without conceding a single round, the clear, undisputed, universally acknowledged favorite. He had dismantled his way through the bracket without dropping a single round. A first-round stoppage, 3 unanimous verdicts, and a semifinal so dominant that his opponent walked away with a broken nose. Ferdy Pacheco, one of the keenest boxing minds in the business, compared Jones's taunting hands-down style to Sugar Ray Leonard himself.
Let's give back to you that it belongs.
That was a commentator calling it during the bout. Even in real time before the scorecards were read, it was already obvious. The statistics confirmed what any set of eyes in that gymnasium already knew. Roy Jones Jr. landed 86 punches. Park Si-hun landed 32. Round 1, Jones outpunched him 20-3. Round 2, in which Park received a standing 8 count, Jones landed 30-15. Round 3, 36-14, and then the judges delivered their verdict 3-2 in favor of Park Si-hun. The referee Aldo Leoni of Italy raised the Korean fighter's hand. Then, in a detail reported by multiple witnesses in the decades since, Leoni turned to Roy Jones Jr. and whispered, "I cannot believe they are doing this to you." Park Si-hun reportedly apologized to Jones immediately after. NBC's Marv Albert, calling it live from the broadcast booth, said plainly, "Park Si-hun has stolen the bout." And Roy Jones Jr. buried his face in a towel.
Wow.
All 3 judges who voted for Park were suspended. 2 received lifetime bans from Olympic judging. A 1997 IOC investigation documented that judges had been systematically wined and dined by Korean organizers. The scandal triggered the most significant reform in Olympic boxing history. The old 20-point must system was replaced with computerized electronic scoring, a direct institutional acknowledgement that the judging that night had been so catastrophically wrong that the entire scoring architecture of the sport needed to be rebuilt from scratch. Jones was awarded the Val Barker Trophy as the most outstanding boxer at the Games, making him the only silver medalist in Olympic boxing history to ever receive the honor. Recognition without a championship, the sport essentially shrugging in his direction and saying, "We know here is a trophy."
Doesn't win the gold off this, then I think there's something rotten in Korea, because that is absolutely one of the most dominant things up.
He returned home thinking he might be finished. And then he walked back into Pensacola and looked at the faces of the children he had trained alongside.
I was robbed. I felt like I was just going to stop boxing. I got back to Pensacola and saw all the little kids that were on my boxing team.
They did not have to utter a word. He read the question in their eyes the same way he had spent his entire childhood reading every approaching signal of danger. And the weight of it? The responsibility of being the person a child looks at when the world tells them to surrender was heavier than any left hook anyone could throw.
You giving up? I can just see that. See it. I can see it now.
He turned professional on May 6, 1989, and went 15 bouts with 15 stoppages before his first fight went the distance. On May 22, 1993, he stepped in front of Bernard Hopkins, one of the most technically refined fighters of his generation, and outboxed him for 12 rounds with a broken right hand, winning the IBF middleweight world title on a unanimous verdict. He vacated the title, jumped to super middleweight, and met James Toney, a man who had never been stopped as a professional. Roy Jones Jr. dismantled him in 12 rounds. The Ring magazine called it the most dominant big fight in 20 years. He made 5 defenses, including a stoppage of Vinny Pazienza, in which CompuBox recorded Pazienza landing 0 punches in 1 complete round. Not a few, literally 0. He moved to light heavyweight, unified the division, and by 1999 stood as the undisputed WBA, WBC, and IBF light heavyweight champion, the first to unify the division since Michael Spinks in 1983. He made a record 12 unified title defenses at 175 pounds. Nobody could touch him. And then on March 1, 2003, he did something the sport had been told was impossible. Roy Jones Jr., who had started his career at light middleweight 154 pounds, weighed in at 193 and challenged WBA heavyweight champion John Rees, who weighed 226, 33 pounds lighter. He won by unanimous verdict 116 to 112, 117 to 111, 118 to 110, with Ruiz landing only 89 of 433 thrown punches. He became the first former middleweight champion to win a heavyweight world title in 106 years since Bob Fitzsimmons in 1897. The tally was 49 to 1. He was everything the cage had constructed him to be. And then 8 months later, he came back down to 175. He cut the weight, all of it. And something shifted that would never fully shift back.
So now I gotta prove to y'all, not only was I the best at the Olympics, but I'm the best on the
Won the first Antonio Tarver fight by majority verdict, but he looked different, sluggish. Analysts noted it was the first occasion they had seen him absorb real punishment and take a black eye. The verdict that spread through the boxing community afterward was unanimous. The rapid dramatic weight cut from heavyweight bulk back to 175 had permanently burned through the fast-twitch muscle fibers his entire supernatural style was constructed upon. The reflexes, the evasion, the explosiveness, all of it quietly taxed by a scale and a calendar, and the cost of doing what should have been impossible. He gave Tarver a rematch. 51 seconds into round 2, a single left hook landed. He went down. May 15, 2004. The first stoppage loss of Roy Jones Jr.'s professional career, and the man who had been untouchable for a decade walked out of the ring something else entirely. But the question that nobody asks, the question that answers everything about how a man survives all of it, how a man absorbs that much punishment across that many decades and still ends up standing, goes back much further than Seoul, much further than any boxing ring. It goes back to Pensacola, Florida, and a cage that was never made of rope. The cage born into a sentence. Picture the greatest boxer you have ever seen. Hands by his sides, head moving like smoke in a breeze. Every opponent he faces looks confused, like they are fighting a ghost who occasionally decides to hurt them. For 10 straight years, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, world titles in 4 separate divisions by almost every credible athletic measure. One of the 2 or 3 most physically gifted fighters who has ever lived. Now, picture where all of that originated. Roy Leicester Jones Jr. was born on January 16, 1969 in Pensacola, Florida. The son of Roy Jones Sr., a decorated Vietnam War veteran who earned a Bronze Star for rescuing a fellow soldier under fire, a former middleweight club fighter, a retired aircraft engineer, a hog farmer, and a man who ran his own local boxing gym. To the neighborhood kids, he trained for free, giving them structure, discipline, something to aim for. He was something close to a guardian angel. To his own son, the story was something entirely different. The abuse began when Jones Jr. was just 5 years old. Roy Sr. would get down on his knees, literally descend to his child's eye level, not to comfort him, but to slap him repeatedly. Open-handed, methodical slaps designed less to injure and more to humiliate, to destabilize, to break down any wall of comfort the boy might have constructed. He was 5 years old. This was his training. He was forced to spar with opponents who were older, heavier, and specifically selected to be overwhelming. And when the pain and the tears came, there was no comfort waiting on the other side. Sometimes these sessions lasted 20 minutes straight, not drills. 20 minutes of a grown man on his knees, tearing his little boy apart. Roy Sr. drew his entire philosophy directly from cockfighting. He raised fighting roosters. He understood the cage. He understood what it meant to condition something, to strip away its instinct for mercy, and send it in with the singular directive of domination, win or die. He applied that same framework to his son. The boy received a shotgun for Christmas at age 6 and was driving a tractor by age 7. Acts that reportedly caused his mother, Carol, to feel faint with alarm. And when young Roy ran to his mother for comfort, Roy Sr. was ready with the words designed to close that door too. You are too much like your mother. You will never accomplish anything if you are scared.
Should never have given him a rematch. I could have been beat him that first fight, rolled off him